How's going guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto becomes the Kyubi Predator? Part 3. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Naruto entered the Hokage's office through her window, fully cloaked, and decided how long it would take the old hag to finally notice he was there. He had done this for well over a week now, and each time it was funny to see Tsunade's reaction to getting the crap scared out of her. Tsunade had yelled, tried to punch, and throw object at Naruto for doing it, no matter how funny he personally thought it was. And now here Naruto was again. Naruto, if you are there, you better undo that cloaking thing you have now, or I'm going to hit you where the sun doesn't shine on your body, said Tsunade, as she suspected it was either Naruto or Jiraiya lurking around her at the moment. Naruto of course stayed silent the whole time, seeing Tsunade's reaction at getting silenced to her demand and the grumbling about disrespectful brats. Naruto could only smile at her under his mask and secretly moved behind the woman before putting a hand on her chair. And shook it wildly. Your detection abilities need work, said Naruto, as the Hokage leaped out of her chair, over her desk, and got into fighting stance before she realized it was him. Damn it Naruto. Stop doing that. Said Tsunade, as she would hit the bastard if it wasn't for the fact he could disappear and then reappear whenever he wanted. Then be more aware. Said Naruto, as he saw her growl at him and let out a chuckle in response. I swear you're going to be the death of me, said Tsunade, before getting a bottle of sake and drinking its contents. Not if your aggressive drinking doesn't get you first, said Naruto, as he let Tsunade glare at him and waited until she was back in her seat. Very funny. The reason I wanted you to come to my office was to give you a mission of great importance, and I think you know what mission that is, said Tsunade, as she saw him nod, and it was the mission Naruto really wanted. Hunting down the remaining Akatsuki members, said Naruto, as he had been itching to take the fight to all of them and make himself more infamous. Yes. The councils originally wanted me to send you on some suicide mission to Kumo, then I was shortly after, but I told them that was out of the question, and that Akatsuki was a major threat that you had to take care of before things get out of hand with them, said Tsunade, as she had a heavy argument with those idiots about how and where Naruto could use his talents effectively. What do they know, except to fill their own pockets with money and bleed life out of village that hates the son of their greatest hero, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade wince at that and took the mission scroll from her of all the listed members of Akatsuki that Jiraiya got from his spy network. Ouch. And I thought my heart was cold towards this place, thought Tsunade, as she saw him walk towards the window and cloak himself before jumping out of it. She was never going to get used to that. Namikaze status sometime later. So Tsunade is sending you out on a long-term hunt for the other members of Akatsuki, said Hinata, as she saw him nod and the look of disappointment on her face showed. During his time in Konoha, the rookies along with Guy's team, except Sakura, with their former senseis, except Kakashi, spending time with Naruto and what he had been doing since his transformation. Kurenai glared at him at first for kidnapping Hinata and scaring the crap out of her in the belief she had lost her previous student. When asked how he came by his transformation, Naruto told them about the events that followed shortly after his exile from the Leaf and the place he found that enhanced him beyond normal human capabilities. They were a little put off by Naruto's way of displaying his kills to the world, as well taking skulls for trophies, but the dual-colored haired man simply stated that was the way of the hunt and left it at that. When asked about his eyes, Naruto told them that they were like a bloodline limit which allowed him to see the body heat of his prey and that they were perfect for interrogations to see through people in case they lied. Kiba didn't believe him as he felt that such a skill was impossible and Naruto dared the Inuzuka to prove him wrong. Kiba of course had decided to take up the challenge by saying he was no longer a virgin among his peers, which earned him a fist to his skull by Ino and Tenten, along with Naruto, stating that the statement was false. Everyone laughed at Kiba's expense for that one. I know it takes us away from each other after only just getting back, but I promise to return and we'll make up for lost time again, said Naruto, as he was behind her now and gave Hinata a loving hug with the young woman blushing from the contact. I know. I just wish I could go with you, said Hinata, as this was a solo mission and the Hokage would not let her tag along for this. Me too. Once I get back, I intend to wash my hands clean of this place and take you with me to Spring Country to start anew. How does that sound? Said Naruto, as Hinata turned around and saw he was being serious before tackling him with tears of joy. Really? You mean it? Oh Naruto-kun, that sounds wonderful. Said Hinata, as she was so happy in hearing the news and was glad he was going to take the princess's offer with her right beside him. Glad you approve. As for the mission itself, I don't leave until tomorrow and I think it's only right that we spend some quality time together before I head out. Don't you agree Hinata-chan? Said Naruto, as one of his hands snaked down to her rump and loved the squeak she made when he gave it a loving squeeze. You always did know how to push my buttons, Naruto-kun, said Hinata, as her cheeks were red from his groping hand and then the other one molesting her chest. That's because I know just which buttons to press, Hinata-chan, said Naruto as he removed her clothing and she removed his before the two went at it like rabbits in heat. Order of Fire and Wind Country days later. Damn it, this sucks. Why do we even have to walk to Suna? Said Deidara as he would have preferred flying there on a clay bird and was even willing to tolerate letting Sasori ride with him to the hidden village. You know why? We need to prevent ourselves from being detected by the Nine Tails, said Sasori, as they had been told by their spies that Tsunade had given the Namikaze the go-ahead to hunt down the rest of the Akatsuki organization and wipe them all out. Oh, spare me. Itachi and Kisame just got careless. I could take the so-called masked hunter easily, said Deidara as he would take some clay, make a few bombs, and boom. Instant death. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it, said a voice from above in the trees, and the cloaked figure that was Namikaze Naruto descended upon them with his combi stick. The two instantly dodged the attack as Deidara reached into his bag for some clay for his bombs and Sasori summoned several of his living puppets to create additional numbers to overpower Naruto. The Namikaze threw his combi stick with incredible force at one of Sasori's puppets and pinning it to a tree before unleashing one of his shuriken blade that he let loose into the air with the intent of taking Deidara's head clean off. He got one of the man's arms, but it was a start. Shit. The bastard got my ring arm, said Deidara as he would have reached for it, but the weapon was coming back and he had to move out of the way to keep the rest of his body parts intact. As for Sasori, he was currently jumping around to avoid the chakra-like attacks that were being fired from the strange device on Naruto's shoulders and already had several close calls. His puppets had already paid the price in his place for underestimating Naruto and now had to fight the demon vessel without them, with only the help of an injured Deidara. The puppet master no understood why Itachi and Kisame fell at the young hunter's hands not that long ago. How does it feel to be the hunted one in all of this? How does it feel not being the big bad predator in this game of hunter and fox? It's no fun when the fox is bigger than the hunter and had more than claws to kill you with too. Does it? Said Naruto smirking behind his mask as he caught the shuriken and then in a surprise move he threw it at Sasori, with the puppet master being unable to get out of the way. The weapon took Sasori's head clean off his body before spinning around and slicing vertically through his upper body. Damn you. I'll make you pay for this. I plan to save this for Itachi one day, but considering he's dead, you will have to take his place and enjoy the art that is my work before you die. Said Deidara as he was going to unleash his grandest of explosive art that was his prize creation upon Naruto with the one hand he still had, but before the Akatsuki member could do that, Naruto had grabbed his combi stick and rushed towards him with incredible speed. I too am an artist when it comes to the ways of death and right now you are one of my many masterpieces. Said Naruto as he thrust the combi stick at Deidara into the man's stomach which struck flesh before the Namikaze used his free hand and grabbed the girl-looking blonde man's face that instantly knocked the Akatsuki member off balance onto the ground. This cannot be. Thought Deidara as he tried create one last bomb with his free hand and almost succeed had Naruto not seen it before snapping the man's neck with a horrible snap. Your rings will make excellent trophies in place of your disfigured skull, said Naruto before taking the ring off of Deidara and then Sasori's puppet hand. Without another word, the Namikaze cloaked himself and then threw an explosive tag onto the ground that was enhanced by his chakra before leaving the area that would soon be destroyed by an incredibly large explosion. Order of Fire and Lightning Country 2 weeks later. I wish you wouldn't pray to that fucking violent god of yours before a fight, Hiden, said Kakuzu as he saw the man praying since they were close to the border and the missing nin from Hidden in Hot Water wanted to kill people in honor of his damn god. Shut the fuck up, Kakuzu. I don't like it when you interrupt my praying time to Jashin-sama, said Hiden as he continued praying and hoped Jashin would forgive him for the interruption. Then you're going to love me, said Naruto. He appeared to the side of Kakuzu and drew his wrist blades out before shoving them right into the man's chest. Shit. That hurt, you bastard. Now I'm pissed. Said Kakuzu as he felt his lungs and 2 of his hearts had been punctured by Naruto's wrist blades. Good, said Naruto before throwing the missing nin aside and turned his attention to the man's partner. You can't kill me. I am protected by Jashin himself. Even if you could decapitate me, I would still live and make you suffer. Said Hiden as he brought out his scythe and prepared to destroy his foe. If the history of this world has taught us anything, you can get anybody you want to if you put your mind to it, and right now I have an idea on how to kill your pale Jashin-loving ass, said Naruto, as he did have an idea, but carrying it out would be a pain and he only had one shot at it. Bring it on, you freak. Said Hiden as he charged forward and Naruto drew his sword to his left hand while keep his wrist blades out on his right. The two clashed fiercely while Kakuzu struggled to get up off the ground where Naruto had thrown him. His other 3 hearts could pick up the slack, but his lungs were still being a pain too and needed to get that fixed too. Granted, he could stick around to help out Hyden fight the Kyubi vessel, but Kakuzu didn't really want to crowd them in his current condition, and Hyden would no doubt bitch later about his interference to offer up a great sacrifice to Jashin. Let them sort it out. Besides, Hyden can't die due to his damn religion, no matter how hard people try, and I doubt the Kyubi brat could pull it off, thought Kakuzu, as he decided to retreat for now and come back later when Hyden won. If Hyden won, that is. You're pretty good. It's almost a shame that I can't kill you in the name of Jashin-sama, as you would make a wonderful sacrifice, said Hyden, as he tried to cut the demon vessel in order to get his blood and perform the needed ritual to hurt Naruto. What's really a shame is I can't take your skull as a trophy and I once again have to settle for a ring, said Naruto, as caught the pole of the scythe in between the gap of his wrist blades, with the point of the blade touching his armor, while sword hand was arched at an angle that took off Hyden's hands just past the wrist. Ow. Look at what you've done, you fucking piece of shit, yelled Hyden as he stumbled back against a tree and would have began ranting further had a net pinned him to the tree behind him that began tightening around his body. Don't hate the hunter. Hate the prey, said Naruto as he took the ring and the scythe out of the hands before seeing Hyden was in multiple pieces on the ground. And yet he was still alive. Seeing the pile of flesh now in a single spot, Naruto threw the hands of Hyden onto the pile before pulling out a canister of blue solvent just like the one he used on Orochimaru to kill the bastard and poured the contents onto the pile. While he did this, Hyden was ranting on with his still intact mouth before crying out in pain and then was followed by silence, with the pile being turned to nothing. Now it was time to hunt down Kakuzu. But Kakuzu. The greedy missing nin saw the town ahead and smirked at the possibility of the new organs he could acquire to extend his lifespan beyond its already expectancy in the game of life. What bothered the former waterfall nin was the fact by the time he got to this place, he was fully expecting his religious partner to defeat the Kyubi vessel and be back here with him already to help with more sacrifices, that damn Jashin. Kakuzu's thoughts on the matter are stopped when he feels one of his 3 remaining hearts leave his body via the combi stick Naruto had, and the weapon plus heart are now connected to a nearby tree. Kakuzu snarls as he turns around to see Naruto standing there with the scythe on his back, and the missing nin can almost see the smile behind that damn mask, with the area where the eyes were on it flashing red for a brief second. I never took you for a coward, said Naruto as he saw the missing nin shrug and look at his pierced heart in the tree before looking back at him. I'm not. It's just that I'd like to live a little longer and you've already killed the majority of the organs in me. Would it be so wrong to get a few replacements before we have it again? Said Kakuzu, who got his answer in the form of wrist blades and shuriken being brought out. Yes. Yes, it does. A true shinobi always finishes what he or she starts, and my mission will not be finished with you until I get my trophy, said Naruto as he saw Kakuzu nod and then moved into a taijutsu stance. If that were true for someone like me, then I would have kept trying to kill Shodaime of the Leaf after my first failure to assassinate and eventually kill him, said Kakuzu as he moved with incredible speed towards Naruto and forced the masked hunter to leap back before overthrowing the shuriken. Kakuzu again moved in closer as he believed his taijutsu and overall years worth of his experience in being a shinobi would give him an edge. What he hadn't counted on was Naruto not being affected like others would have been from his blows, and the demon vessel actually wanted the missing nin to get close. By getting close, Naruto was able to give his wrist blades a chance to once more take out another heart, and Kakuzu, it was only his instincts right now that allowed him to keep at least one heart right now. The missing nin leaped out of the way of the wrist blade that left a deep gash along his chest and turned around to see the spinning shuriken coming at him. Kakuzu tried to get out of the way, but the weapon sliced through his arm at the elbow and back to its owner before Naruto made it shrink into a tiny circular disc in order to pocket it. Kakuzu knew he was in trouble now, as he was now more crippled than any other time in his long life of being a shinobi, and saw that one of Naruto's chakra shooting weapons on his shoulder, moving with a strange red light from the mask aiming at him before a loud thunderous booming sound was heard with the crimson energy soon following. It tore through the missing nin's remaining hearts, and the man finally tasted death after spending so many years avoiding its clutches. With the task done, Naruto walked over to the now dead shinobi and took the ring off Kakuzu's finger before once more pulling solvent on the body to make sure no one could bring the guy back to life. It was for the best considering this particular pair of Akatsuki members and their way of staying immortal like the other members no doubt claimed to be. Now there was only a small handful left for Naruto to kill. Then this whole mess would be over. Konoha's secret meeting room. We have to do something. The demon is out of control. We have no way to rein him in now that Danzo is gone, said Homura as he along with Koharu and the others that were with him on the civilian council currently in on this meeting that weren't arrested. What about the man's remaining root shinobi? Surely they will follow us, said Harunotashi, as he had told his daughter to stay away from the demon, regardless of his heritage in being the Namikaze heir, and to focus on being better than her so-called friends. They will, but they are hesitant to make moves against the Hokage due to her having so much support, and the Fire Daimyo has taken much of the power we have taken from that title over the years. We need to remove Tsunade's symbol of strength, her hope, and her courage to oppose us, said Kaharu, as she knew more about running the village than that drunken Senju woman ever could, and made her displeasure known to the Hokage when she could despite all the events that happened shortly after the banishment of the demon vessel. But that may not be possible given the demon's current power. He's out on that mission to kill the members of Akatsuki, and even with us secretly alerting them of that fact we have yet to hear that the monster had been taken care of, said another member of the civilian council. True, but you forget that Akatsuki is filled with S-ranked missing nin, and if anyone can kill the Kyubi vessel it is them, said Hamura, as he knew that the only ones in the elemental countries capable of killing the demon were them, and even if they didn't, the weakening of the creature would give them the chance to finish it off themselves. As for the root shinobi that were loyal to Danzo, we have positioned them all over Konoha to strike out against the demon when he returns, if at all from his mission, and have them strike him down before Tsunade can be alerted to stop it, said Kaharu, as she saw them all nod and they departed from the meeting room. All of them were completely unaware of the fly on the corner of the wall, flying right out of the room above their heads, as it was not the usual housefly that flew around pissing people off and then dying a few days later. No, this was a special Aburami spying fly they developed to be the pre-verbal fly on the wall when spying on others, at the request of the Hokage, when the fire shadow had a good reason for it, and this was one of those rare times that such an insect was used inside the walls of Konoha. The Hokage was not going to like what this fly told the Aburami, who was going to tell her what the fly heard in that room. Aim Village -5 days later. We have a problem, Pain-sama, said White Half Zetsu, as he appeared before Pain and Konan, with both sides of his face showing worry. Damn right we do. All the other members are dead, said the dark half of Zetsu, as he decided to get straight to the point and just say it before Pain asked in his place. What? How? Said Konan, as she surprised that all the other members were killed off so easily and in a short amount of time. It was the Kyubi vessel. He hunted them all down and took their rings as trophies along with hide inside, said the dark half of Zetsu, as he was angry and a tad bit afraid of the Kyubi vessel now. We searched the areas they fought and found their bodies had been could only be described as disintegrated, said the white half of Zetsu, sounding like a frightened child being hunted down by the Bujiman. Though Freddy Krueger was probably more appropriate given all the blades the Kyubi vessel had on his person. Disintegrated? Strange. Konan, we will deal with this one ourselves and the focus on finding the Kyubi vessel's hideout to get the rings, said Pain, as he saw his second-in-command nod, and yet the woman beside him seemed hesitant to do this. Though Konan would never say it in front of Pain. How do we find the Kyubi vessel? Said Konan, as she knew that the Namikaze was not going to be found so easily and it was going to be even tougher to subdue. We don't have to, Konan. He's already here in aim, said Pain, as he saw Conan's eyes widen and saw the look of concern flash upon her face. Do you think he knows about your Trupian body? Said Konan, since the man before her was Pain and yet was not Pain. Yes. We have to hurry if we are to Aya, said Pain, as his body staggered and fell to his knees in agony. Pain-sama. Pain-sama. Said the two sides of Zetsu in shock. He's here. He found my true form. Stop him, Konan. Said Pain, as his body began to spasm even more and then slumped down dead. No. Yelled out Konan, as she knew that with the real Pain dead, the one before her would fall like a pet with its strings cut and be dead just like the others. You loved him. Didn't you? Said Naruto, as he appeared before the two members since he had sent a shadow clone to deal the killing blow to the real Pain after finding the man by finding the strongest source of chakra and then followed the heat signature that went with it until the real Pain was found a safe distance from here. This man was like a more alternate but more advanced version of Sasori in terms of the use of puppets and made the Suna puppet master look like a weak child apprentice in that regard. I'll kill you, yelled Konan, as tears filled her eyes and paper surrounded her reformed into sharp-looking blade before unleashing them on Naruto. Only to reveal that she had only destroyed a shadow clone. The real man behind all of this, the one you loved without question, was dying, said Naruto, as he appeared to her right and saw the anger in her eyes, while Zetsu was now arguing with himself on whether to help the woman or get out of there. It doesn't mean you had to kill him, said Konan, as he made a sword out of paper and was going to run him through with it had he not raised a hand to tell her to stop. Perhaps not, but he was my enemy, and I could not let him kill me for the sake of his own ambitions that put those I care about at risk, said Naruto, as he didn't want to kill this woman and sensed she was a gentle soul despite her joining the Akatsuki. And that gives you the right. You are no better than that damn bastard Hanzo or his ally Danzo when they conspire to kill those close to me for the sake of their ambitions, said Konan as she charged him with the intent of her sharp paper sword to pierce through his armor and flesh to end his life. Naruto easily stepped aside and grabbed her wrists hard before pulling Konan close to his masked face. First off, don't compare me to that bastard Danzo, and second, I personally killed the old prick, so be grateful I killed our mutual enemy in that regard. Another thing you need to realize is that by extracting the demons from their vessels like me, you kill us for your own ambitions, and I am doing what I must to protect my kin from your organization. What right does your leader have in killing us for his ambition? What right do you have in killing all 9 of us just so you can take the coward's way out of bringing your so-called peace to the elemental countries that would have been done through fear? That's not peace. That's a fucking dictatorship, said Naruto as saw the woman before him shaking and threw her to the ground before turning his attention to Zetsu now done arguing with himself. Stay away from us, said the white half of Zetsu. Yeah. What he said the dark half of Zetsu. Then give me your ring and I won't, said Naruto, as he knew the rings were key to Akatsuki's plans and this would further hurt the organization's plans. That and Zetsu wasn't worthy in terms of being hunted. Give him the ring, said the dark half Zetsu to the white half of Zetsu. Hold on, the ring's stuck, said the white Zetsu as he finally got it removed and threw it at Naruto before getting out of there in a heartbeat. Now yours, said Naruto turning to face the still downed woman currently crying her heart out at his feet. Kill me. Kill me please, said Konan as she slowly took the ring off and placed it by his right foot. Why? Said Naruto with his head beat to the right and saw Konan look up at him with her tear-stained eyes. Why? Because you took away someone I love. It was because of him that I survived for so long after Jiraiya of the Sannin taught us the basics to survive when we were kids, said Konan as she felt lost without the man she swore to follow and support his dream no matter what. Even if what they did felt somewhat wrong. No, said Naruto before picking up the ring and began walking away. Why? Why are you sparing me? Said Konan. Because you are not like the others of this organization. You didn't join for the same reasons they did. I see light in your heart where they had darkness in theirs. That alone makes you worthy of living. The people in this village will follow you even after they learn pain is gone, and that is your role in life from now on. To protect them. They are your precious people now. Live for them. If for nothing else, said Naruto as he left Konan on the ground to think about his words and hoped she would embrace them. Wait. There is one more you need to kill before the organization is gone, said Konan as she felt he needed to know about his final and most powerful of enemies. Who is that? Said Naruto now stopping and turning slightly to face her. He's the true leader of Akatsuki. The one who came to us all and offered us a chance to fulfill our dreams. His name is Uchiha Madara, said Konan as she felt killer intent from Naruto skyrocket and clench his fists tightly to the point that his healing factor was the only thing preventing him from drawing blood. Kill him. Kill him, my vessel. It's because of him I attacked the leaf and made your life miserable in the first place. Roared the Kyubi as he hated Madara more than anything this world had to offer and Kyubi had seen The Postman. Why Kami gave Kevin Costner work after that movie, Kyubi will never know, and in a way Kyubi didn't want to know. Thank you for this information. Maybe in the distant future, we will meet once again under better circumstances and even call each other friends, said Naruto as he left the woman to slowly rise to her feet and seek out Madara. The man's skull would become the ultimate trophy. Naruto leaped from tree to tree in stealthy silent fashion only he could do as he hunted the last and most powerful member of the Akatsuki organization. It wasn't easy of course due to Madara being elusive and hiding in the shadows long after his encounter with the Shodaime over 100 years ago. However, Naruto's eyes could find Madara with the help of his mask, following the unusual trail of chakra the man left behind that was like Kyubi said, was a much more sinister thing than the fox's own and easy to find once it was locked on due to the heat the chakra created. No matter how sinister or soothing it was, it left a trail all over the place and could be tracked when seen. He's near. I can feel it, said Kyubi angrily growling at knowledge the Uchiha was near and was looking forward to seeing the bastard die a painful death. Calm yourself Kyubi. If you get angry, you'll juice me up and he'll see it before using his power to suppress your chakra. We can't have that. I know you're angry, but you're also a living creature and all living creatures have free will. You can resist the rage if you try, thought Naruto as he knew Kyubi could fight off Madara's power and the desire to rip the man's head off. That was reserved for the Namikaze. I know. Just so many bad memories of him makes my blood boil. Well, if I still had a body to go with the boiling blood that is, said Kyubi, as he focused on resisting the growing anger within himself and listened to his vessel. Well, soon he will be just that. A memory, thought Naruto, as the internal section of his mask's visor on the screen telling him that someone was nearby and it matched the trail the Namikaze had been following. He was here. We've come to it at last, said Kyubi, grinning within Naruto, knowing that today was the day death finally caught up with Madara. Uchiha Madara, said Naruto, letting his voice echoing through the trees while hanging off of one of them fully cloaked, seeing the other masked man stand up from the tree he was on and removed his own orange spiral mask to show his face. So you're finally here. Why not show yourself? Said Madara, as he didn't see any point to going into his Toby persona and saw the Namikaze reveal himself up on a higher tree. Satisfied, said Naruto before moving to another tree while Madara staying where he was. Hardly. You may have learned a few interesting things, but the fact remains my pet fox inside of your body cannot intervene and save you, Namikaze, said Madara as he heard Naruto chuckle and then remove his mask before throwing it onto the ground. How long have you known that I was his son? Said Naruto as he saw Madara quickly in a single instant transform his clothing into the clothing of old he fought the Shodaime with ages ago at the Valley of the End. Since the ceiling. Not that hard to see you were his child. Of course, I imagine that your village knew but didn't want to accept it, and if they did they didn't care about what the man wanted for you, said Madara as he had known about the village's abuse of the boy and the retaliation the Namikaze delivered upon his attackers. I see. And yet you made no move to kill me afterwards, knowing it would free Kyubi from my body. Then again, Kyubi was free from your influence, and I'm going to bet that your eyes didn't have the strength to repeat your actions to piss the fox off. I'm guessing the statue thing was a backup plan just in case someone sealed the fox away like the other 9 were, and your revenge on the leaf failed. Am I right? Said Naruto as he saw Madara's arrogant smirk, and the way the man did it reminded the Namikaze a lot of when Sasuke did the same thing. That is indeed correct. Whenever I put Kyubi in such a state, I am weakened somewhat considerably, and even more so after my battle with the Shodaime. I became a shadow of my former self after that battle and took me a long time to recover, while everyone in the leaf thought I died. After I recovered, I swore revenge against the leaf, but had to make preparations, and did so over the years. Using my Sharingan to influence others to do what I wished, carrying out a long planned out strategy to weaken all the shinobi villages to the point where they cannot oppose me when my dream came true. I became the 3rd Mizukage to find out just who among the different clans there were a threat to me and used my Sharingan on the 4th Mizukage, whom was a demon vessel named Yagura, to weaken them with the bloodline civil war. I tempted Orochimaru by in his lab to give him with the idea of immortality using the Sharingan to complete his ambition to know all the jutsus in the world. I helped Uchiha Itachi kill the Uchiha clan, knowing he needed help in taking down the planned coup they were going to start and to further weaken Konoha considerably, said Madara as he grinned at Naruto, who narrowed his eyes at the oldest Uchiha in existence and let out a growl that echoed throughout the area. You have much to answer for Uchiha Madara, said Naruto as he brought out his wrist blades and brought out one of his just as deadly sword. I'm sure I do in the eyes of many if they were to learn the truth about my secret actions throughout the elemental countries. However, I am immortal, and being immortal means that I cannot be killed. That I cannot die, said Madara confidently before bringing out his sword ready for battle. Bold words from someone who's afraid of death, said Naruto letting out a chuckle and saw Madara frown. Hardly. I don't fear anything, said Madara as he activated his eyes and saw Naruto grin expand wider. Such arrogance. It's no wonder the Shodaime was able to beat you, said Naruto as he saw Madara scowl and again was reminded of Sasuke. When I'm done destroying your body, Namikaze, I'm going to influence your mind with my Sharingan like I did Kyubi and then make you destroy everyone in the elemental countries you love. Starting off with that lover of yours. What's her name again? It's Hyuga Hinata, was it? Said Madara, who heard Naruto let out an angry demonic roar that seemed to shake the ground around them and now had the multicolored haired boys fully attention. Your head will be my most coveted trophy in my collection when this is over, said Naruto as the two charged the other and thus began the pre-verbal clash of titans. Konoha at the moment. Senjutsu Nade was pissed. No, she was beyond pissed, and for good reason. Aburami Shino had come to her office, telling the female Hokage all about what his fly had heard and how people within Konoha's walls were conspiring against Tsunade's only godson. The Slug Princess knew this mission against the Akatsuki would weaken Naruto to the point where Root Shinobi would have no problem killing the Namikaze, and even more so if they ganged up on him all at once. It's time these assholes were reminded of just who they are messing with outside of Naruto himself. Thought Tsunade as she summoned Yugao and her Anbu team to her office. You called Hokage-sama? Said Yugao wearing her cat Anbu mask. Bet every Anbu loyal to me in here now. Same with Jiraiya too. Tell him unless he wants to be without his beep for the remainder of his life that he gets his ass in this office within seconds of this order. I have an important mission that requires only their utmost commitment, loyalty, and secrecy needed to protect the leaf, said Tsunade, as she saw Yugao nod and quickly head out to gather all the necessary forces for the mission. Tsunade-sama, what is going on? Said Shizune, as she came into the room and saw her teacher in medicine getting increasingly angrier by the second. Those bastards on the councils have organized a planned assassination on Naruto the very moment he comes back to Konoha using the last of Danzo's root forces. They think they can get away with it, but I'm not about to have my godson walk into a trap by those fuckers and show them what it means to cross my family. Said Tsunade, as she had long wished to prove to Naruto that she cared for him, and this was going to be the proof she needed to show the Namikaze by killing every single arrogant bigot trying to raise up arms against the young man. What about the rookies and guys team? Surely they can help. Said Shizune, as she saw Tsunade nod at the idea and knew they would love to prove to Naruto they didn't hate him. Good idea, Shizune. Bring them all here too. Said Tsunade, as she knew they could be trusted with this assignment and help deal with this annoyance. Within the hour, everyone Tsunade could trust was in the room and she told them what the councils had planned with the remaining leftover root shinobi they now had under their command. It was upsetting to the rookies as they missed Naruto greatly during his banishment and always hated the people in power for causing it, and now they were trying to screw Naruto over further. Unacceptable. When do we start? Said Kiba, as he had seen Hinata in terms of sister and knew how much Naruto meant to her. It was time for the Inuzuka to act like a good big brother and protect the one his little sister loved. Right now, Jiraiya had the toads find every root shinobi in the village and all those involved in the assassination attempt on the councils. Take them down. Dead or alive. Go. Said Tsunade, as she saw them take off to complete the mission and smirked at the thought of teaching those fools a lesson. She was going to show that Naruto wasn't the only one who could hunt. But Naruto and Madara. Glowing red blood ran down the side of Naruto's left arm, while Kyuubi's chakra healed the injury underneath his armor, while Madara himself was injured along his right leg from a wicked gash near the kneecap. The two had been at it a while now. Madara had long since decided against his teleporting technique for this fight, since it had resulted in failure the first time it was tried and had cost the Uchiha the wound on his leg. Naruto himself found out why the Shodaime had such a hard time with Madara in the first place, as the Uchiha was indeed the strongest of his clan and was constantly pushing the predator of a Namikaze to his limits. Madara used his Sharingan to keep Naruto's punches from hitting, but at the same time, the younger man's eyes revealed what limbs Madara was going to use before they were used due to the heat in each limb, flaring each time an arms and/or leg tried to land a blow. In short, it was a stalemate. You're pretty good, Naruto. I'm actually kind of glad I didn't kill you after being born for only a minute, said Madara before he was shoved back by Naruto's far superior physical strength. You did what? Said Naruto, as he saw the Uchiha grinning at him and readied his wrist blades to gut Madara right now. Your mother was the previous vessel of the fox. I was looking for him for so long and found out my pet had been sealed inside of her. I threatened to kill you the moment you were born, and due to the pregnancy her seal weakened considerably. It was by this point that the fox's power was leaking out of her body at a dangerously lethal rate and would have died soon after had Kushina not done the unexpected, said Madara as he charged at Naruto, who blocked the sword with his wrist blades and looked the Uchiha right in his Sharingan eyes. She released Kyubi to have it kill you for taking me. She didn't know that the eyes of the Sharingan had the power to control the fox like the Senju clan could, said Naruto, as he saw Madara smiling at him with a cruel smile, and it was making the Namikaze very angry. Correct? Your father knew what she was going to do in advance, which gave him the motivation to seek me out and take you back in order to, well, you know the rest, said Madara, letting out a chuckle, and was answered with a from Naruto, now attacking in a savage manner with a speed that even the Uchiha Sharingan was having trouble seeing to counter. Madara tried to use his Sharingan powers against Naruto, but the younger was not so easily influenced by them like he first thought, and the Uchiha suspected the Shinigami seal on the Namikaze had something to do with it. It was long before Naruto had forced Madara to back himself up against a tree, which the man was so surprised he had even done that, and used his teleportation technique to prevent the loss of his head via Naruto's sword in the Namikaze's left hand. The tree that was behind the Uchiha, however, was not so lucky. Forget having your head as a trophy on my wall. Smashing your body into liquid goo is more than enough for me, said Naruto, picking up his mask before putting it on, as he let out another mighty roar and then threw his shuriken at Madara, with the man dodging it by jumping to his left in a very acrobatic fashion. Then the Uchiha had to quickly jump around to prevent the red chakra firing cannons on Naruto's shoulders from hitting him, and it wasn't easy either. Madara also knew that this was just a means for Naruto to force his hand into close quarter so the younger man could try to slice him to pieces with those wrist blades. He's good. It's clear my pet has done little to influence him in terms of its chakra healing the boy's wounds when injured, and even if I did suppress Kyuubi's power long enough to stop it, the Namikaze has more than enough tolerance to handle severe injuries, thought Madara as he heard a sound behind him and saw the spinning alien shuriken coming back. And leaped out of the way of its ruthless spinning blades. And it gave Naruto the opening he needed. Targeting Madara in mid-jump, Naruto recalculated the targeting system to fire seconds before the Uchiha landed on the area he was jumping to and aimed low to take the man's legs off at the knees. Madara himself didn't expect this, which was surprising due to his lack of understanding in the kind of weapons Naruto had at his disposal and when it came to the shinobi world. The unknown can get you killed. The last true Uchiha screamed out in agony as the ground, or rather his legs, gave out from under him due to the fact his legs from the kneecap down were no longer attached to the rest of his body. Before Madara could do anything about his new situation, his opponent had put away his shuriken and brought out the kombi stick in all its menacing glory. Throwing the weapon, Naruto hit Madara right in the right arm just below the man's elbow and put his massive steel-plated combat boot right on the Uchiha's chest. "Tell me, Uchiha Madara, do you fear death?" said Naruto as he drew his sword out again and pointed the tip at the Uchiha's neck. "No. I don't. Just like your father," said Madara as he saw eyes on the mask flash red before Naruto drove his blade right into the Uchiha's throat and then decapitated the man in 2 slices of his weapon. "You're nothing like him. At least he died with his honor," said Naruto as he picked up the head of Uchiha Madara and then let out a mighty demonic roar that echoed into the sky for all to hear. The masked hunter now had his trophy and it would be considered the greatest of all the trophies among the akatsuki he hunted. Konoha 1 week later. Naruto had returned to his base of operations soon after Uchiha Madara's head was taken and began the cleaning procedure of his new trophy before mounting on the wall that was designed specifically to hold the various members of the akatsuki he hunted. The only skulls he did not have on the wall were Konan's, Zetsu's, Sasori's, Kakuku's, Hiden's, and Orochimaru's for different reasons that were his own, despite having some worthy substitutes. Including all of their rings and for some the items in their possession that were of their handiwork. Now here Naruto was, back in Konoha to collect his payment as he had all 9 rings in his possession and a report all ready for the Hokage to hear memorized in his head. He knew Tsunade would be cautious of aim in the future because of his decision not to kill Konan, but Naruto would explain that she was not a threat anymore and that the man behind it was with the man now dead. If his pay got reduced, then Naruto didn't care since it wasn't about the money and one couldn't put a price on one's honor if they truly felt it was priceless. As he walked through the village, Naruto noticed a distinct decrease in the population and frowned in wonder as to why that was. Was there an attack coming? Surely the fools of this village would not try something so stupid that they would try to kill him now, after proving he was no longer an easy target for them to hurt much less kill. Sensing nothing was amiss, the former Leaf Shinobi walked through the streets of Konoha with people giving him a lot of space to head to the Hokage Tower, and it seemed now that almost all of the people seemed terrified of him. When he got closer to the mountain, Naruto found out why and smiled behind his mask at what the reason was for the fear. Hanged by rope now tied to poles on top of the Hokage monument were the bodies of the 2 councils, their stomachs gutted and showed signs that they had all suffered painful deaths. "I love what you've done with the place," said Naruto when he entered the Hokage's office and placed all the rings of Akatsuki in front of Tsunade. "You can thank your friends and shinobi that wish to prove they're not like them," said Tsunade as she saw Naruto and then look out the window for a moment. "I noticed Sakura's body among the rest of them. I take it she chose the losing side," said Naruto seeing the Hokage nod her head while grimacing. "Oh, she chose all right. Said quite a few things about you too. Her along with the rest of her bastard family sided with the councils, who just so you know were planning to have you killed the moment you returned and using the leftover root shinobi that remained. After I found out about it, I made the decision to liquidate them if you will, and count it as an acceptable loss for the village, since most of them shouldn't be alive anyway, with the laws they've broken. Of course, the ones we captured all screamed out how they were trying to do the village a service and that you needed to be killed. All the usual same old crap when it comes to you," said Tsunade as she heard Naruto chuckle and knew that she had managed to get back some of his good graces with this bloody act. "And now all the powers of the Hokage are yours once more," said Naruto seeing the woman nod and that she had a look of sadness in her eyes, though there was a mixture of hope in them too. "I don't suppose you'll reconsider staying and taking my place now that it's all powerful again," said Tsunade as she saw Naruto shake his head no and she slumped her head in defeat. "The title of Hokage may be powerful now, Granny, but you do need to bring back the 2 governing positions again and rearrange it so they aren't powerful enough to override your position. Besides, I personally cannot embrace Konoha anymore even if you did take care of the bigots and bring fear to those that would side with them. This is where I part ways from the leaf, said Naruto as he scooped up all the rings and turned to leave while ignoring the pained look in Tsunade's eyes. Would you at least come back to visit us? On occasion. Said Tsunade as she saw him stop for a moment and then look back with that damn unreadable mask, preventing her from seeing his face. Maybe one day when my mind has caught up with the rest of my body I will return here. I'm sure Hinata-chan won't mind coming back here to see her cousin and little sister after things have settled, said Naruto as he left before the Hokage could ask him about Hinata leaving and why the Hyuga heiress was leaving the leaf. Namikaze status some time later. Hyuga Hinata was ready to go. Her bags were packed, Naruto was in his ways after a shadow clone came and told her he was back to set things in motion for the move. As for Hinata herself, she was thrilled to be with Naruto and that soon they would be in Spring Country where Princess Koyuki would be there to greet them as honored guests. Ready to go? Said Naruto as he appeared in front of Hinata and the woman hugged the blonde before kissing his mask. Since the day you first left to hunt down the Akatsuki, said Hinata as she saw Naruto reactivate the security seals on the Namikaze estates and the two soon headed to the gates of the leaf to head to Wave Country. It was their path to happiness. So he's finally leaving, huh? No goodbyes to us. No assurances that he'll want to return one day and help us out of a jam. Said Jiraiya by Tsunade's side looking out the window of her office and knowing the two former leaf shinobi were on their way. No. That's not his style. Not anymore. Naruto's walking the path he wants to walk. Not surprising when you think about it. Most of his life. He's walked a path we kept making him walk and never considered that the path was the wrong one because it was the one we walked too, said Tsunade as she looked at her desk to see Hinata's headband there and a note explaining why she was following Naruto. Such young love. How Tsunade missed it. Yeah. Minato was the same way. Took a few kick to my balls to finally see exactly what I was doing was in fact wrong in his training. But he would see a different path that was perfect for him and I was only hurting Minato when I tried to redirect the path towards what I walked, said Jiraiya as he saw now how much Naruto was like Minato in that regard and once more screwed up like he first did with the Yondaime. Hinata's note told me they were heading to Spring Country and that Naruto was going to become the Kage of its shinobi village, said Tsunade seeing Jiraiya smirk and then the man let out a small laugh. I don't doubt it. After killing so many S-class missing nin, I highly doubt anything less than a Kage level position would be suitable for Naruto and it was his dream after all, said Jiraiya, knowing that Naruto being a Kage of a shinobi village would definitely be interesting in the next few years. That's true, but I always wanted him to take the position of Hokage and not the title of Kage from another village, said Tsunade with a sigh. That was never going to happen so long as the councils and all the bigots in the village were fueling their power, Tsunade. Even with them gone, most of the populace would never truly be loyal to Naruto and would prefer to be overthrown by an outside enemy than live under his rule, said Jiraiya as he saw Tsunade become angry with tears in her eyes. And could tell she wanted to hit something. Damn fools. All of them. Still, there are signs of hope with the younger generation and that's what I have to fight for now until my successor can take my place, said Tsunade as she knew of only one other person who was qualified to take this position aside from Naruto and the boy was still a genin. And I'll help too. From what I hear, Konohamaru along with his friends have a lot of raw potential in them and look up to Naruto. They have his desire to be strong and I think they would be perfect for training under yours truly, said Jiraiya, knowing that Ebisu was doing a good job so far but the kids could go far and the Sannin wanted them at their maximum potential. Just don't make them into super perverts. Jiraiya or peeping in hot springs will be a faint memory after I remove your manhood, said Tsunade as she saw the man wave his hands defensively and knew he wouldn't try anything like that. I wouldn't dream of it, Tsunade-hime. Though I will need to take the two boys to a fancy brothel after I help them become Chunin, said Jiraiya grinning his usual grin. Damn. And like that, Jiraiya was sent all the way down to the bottom of the Hokage Tower via one-way ticket on the Hokage's Fist Express and missed the woman's yell of pervert. Aimed down at him. But times. Epilogue 5 years later. Naruto sat in his office in Yukigakure as he finished up the last of his paperwork for the evening required of him since he was the Shodaime Asukage and headed home to his lovely wife Namikaze Hyuga Hinata. Along the way, the people of the village bowed humbly in his presence as they gave him looks of respect that he would never get in the leaf and saw children having pride in their eyes at living in this village with him governing it. They knew what Naruto held inside, but they didn't care as the man was a hero to them for what he did years before and saved their princess now Spring Daimyo Koyuki from certain harm. He had brought alliances from various villages and even countries to their side that were bringing them great prosperity. However, it didn't mean that their shinobi village could become fat, bored, and arrogant like the leaf had become from all of their victories. As the Asukage, Naruto kept his shinobi in tip-top condition, made sure they had yearly psyche evaluations, and that they did intense mandatory training equivalent of their rank for several hours a day. The genin didn't do D-ranked missions like the leaf did after they graduated, but rather did them at the academy while still being trained and developed the fundamentals of teamwork in the classroom. The teachers made sure their lectures, their way of teaching wasn't boring, but rather they were informative, examples were shown, and instructed the students in the understanding that being a shinobi is not the glamorous tale of intense action that they may have suspected it was. "Hinata-chan. I'm home," said Naruto as he entered his well-sized home and was greeted with the sight of his wife there with their 2.5-year-old son named Azrael. "Welcome back, Naruto-kun. Azrael has missed you almost as much as I have," said Hinata as she gave him a kiss after he removed his helmet and saw Naruto look at his son they helped create together. "How are your former students these days? I hear they've been doing well, and I have paperwork on my desk indicating they want to become jounin," said Naruto as he wanted to know what his wife thought of her former genin team she trained just prior to getting pregnant with their son and seeing them become remarkable chunin. "They've stopped by. Wishing me good luck with our son and if they could spar with me on occasion to see how they measure up against me," said Hinata as she blushed slightly at Naruto's close contact near her face and the way he sniffed her hair. "Have I told you how sexy you are and how incredible you smell?" said Naruto as he placed a hand on her hip and gave her lust-filled look. "Plenty of times, my love. Though if you intend to go through with what I think you are going to, then I have to warn you that it could result in me being pregnant again and I will be hormonally unstable like I was before," said Hinata as she had been angry, sad, and hungry during her time being pregnant with their child. "Don't get her even started on the labor. But you're so sexy when you're like that," said Naruto as he moved his hand that was on her hip to cup the woman's ass and gave it a healthy squeeze that made Hinata moan out with lust. "Maybe we could spend some quality time together," said Hinata as she could easily put Azrael to bed and then they could spend time in their bed. "Some? Why not the rest of the day going into the night? I keep a shadow clone on hand to watch over the baby and we can spend time together that will make us another baby," said Naruto as he knew how to turn this lovely woman in front of him on and this was one of those ways. "Deal," said Hinata as she couldn't take it any longer and kissed him hungrily while gripping what she could of his fishnet-covered body. For the rest of the day going into the night, no one dared get near the Namikaze home, and when the Hyuga woman became pregnant a second time everyone in the village knew what day caused such an event. All was right with Naruto's world. Fin. So this part ends here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so quickly like this video for second part of this series. And comment down below your thoughts about this series. And now it's time for me to go, bye.